At 3 o'clock in the evening, the sky was gloomy. A black cloud pressed down, and the darkness instantly covered the whole sky. Zhao Yuqing lay naked on the soft bed, surrounded by endless darkness. She was sent in by someone. She didn't know where she was, nor did she know who would want her later. Although she had been calm for a long time, her heart was still beating wildly. Suddenly, strong footsteps sounded in the corridor. He was getting closer and closer, which shocked Zhao Yuqing's heart. Next, there was the sound of the door being twisted. The door was opened, and a dim light came in from the outside. She could vaguely see a tall and strong figure, but she knew nothing about anything else. Suddenly, a cold breath entered her nostrils, causing her whole body to be shocked and tense. Zhao Yuqing was about to say something when she stopped. She seemed to feel that this noble man, who was full of coldness, did not like her to speak. "Are you scared?" The man's voice was cold and pleasant to the ear, but it was full of sarcasm and disdain. Zhao Yuqing's heart suddenly ached. She had chosen her own path. What right did she have to be afraid of? But what she didn't expect was that this man's voice was so young and so pleasant to listen to. Shang Jiyu's big palm supported Zhao Yuqing's body as it tossed and turned. In the darkness, he could feel that her skin was very tight and very soft. He couldn't help wanting to get close to her. Zhao Yuqing's body trembled as she felt the tall figure. She could feel that his legs were long and slender, and there was no trace of excess meat on his waist. His whole body exuded a noble aura. Her small hands were pressed against his chest. She could feel the muscular muscles on his chest. She thought that he should be a perfect man. Shang Jiyu suddenly approached Zhao Yuqing. Suddenly, a girl's fragrance came to his nose. It was the smell of lilies. His sexy, thin lips couldn't help kissing her. For the first time, he kissed a woman in such a situation. Zhao Yuqing was shocked by the sudden kiss, and her whole body tensed up. But fortunately, she did not resist. She was very clear about the purpose of her coming. Shang Jiyu's big palm went through her whole body. Her figure was very good. With the touch, he knew that she was definitely a stunner. Well, Zhao Yuqing felt as if an electric current was running through her body, and she instinctively wanted to struggle. She was in great pain from being pinched by him, but there was a strange feeling spreading in an instant. Her body went limp. This kind of feeling made her scared. His kiss went all the way down to his attractive collarbone, and he began to bite it gently. He could clearly feel the slight tremble in her body. For the first time, a woman was his cup of tea. His kiss went on. He enjoyed the trembling of her body and her tensed body. An inexplicable feeling rose in Zhao Yuqing's heart. That kind of feeling made her scared, but at the same time, she was addicted to it. All of a sudden, Zhao Yuqing had an impulse to see his face. What kind of person was she pregnant for? Perhaps she had selfish motives. If she saw him, she would be able to find her child. However, while she was in a panic, the pain from her lower body pulled her back to reality. That kind of pain seemed to drag her from the top of the clouds to hell in an instant. It was a painful feeling. The heart-wrenching pain proved to her that she had changed from a girl to a woman at this time. From today on, that Zhao Lu would no longer be her father, the man who had lost her due to the gamble. The pain she had suffered tonight had been repaid for bringing her up. At first, she was just a part of his plan. Shang Jiyu's hot breath sprayed on her face. The smell of his body was very pleasant. It was the smell of linen, giving people a refreshing feeling. This kind of smell seemed to have relieved a lot of pain for her. "Good girl, cry out." His voice was unusually pleasant, but it also exuded a kind of irresistible aggressiveness. Zhao Yaqing gritted her teeth and finally didn't scream. At this time, Sheng Jiyu suddenly went crazy, as if he was punishing her for refusing just now. She was just a woman who was pretending to be arrogant in order to get money and give birth to a child for him. Zhao Yaqing clenched the sheet tightly with her small hands, trying her best to endure the pain from him. A line of tears flowed down the corner of her eyes, instantly buried in her hair, and wet the pillow. Sheng Jiyu didn't pity Zhao Yaqing. He was still madly asking for her. Crazy affection. After that, he left in the dark. Like a gust of wind, she disappeared from Zhao Yaqing's sight. Zhao Yaqing turned on her phone. The faint light lit up the mess in the room and the eye-catching bloodstain on the bedsheet. These seemed to remind her that she was no longer clean. At this moment, the lights in the room suddenly lit up. At the same time, a maid came in with a suit of clothes. After cleaning up, Zhao Yaqing changed her clothes and was taken out of the villa. The sky was still dark. She still did not know where she was and who she was pregnant for. It wasn't until she returned home that she realized that she had left her transfer pearl there, the place where she was deeply attached to a strange man. In the blink of an eye, 10 months had passed, and Zhao Yaqing gave birth to 3 children. But before she had time to see what a newborn child looked like, she was taken away by Zhao Lu in exchange for money. At that moment, Zhao Yaqing's heart turned cold. She was afraid that her father would take her 2 other children away and exchange them for money for her employer. With a solemn heart, Zhao Yaqing took the remaining 2 children to escape and went abroad to seek refuge with her grandmother. In the blink of an eye, 6 years later, at the airport, a delicate figure was pulling the 2 children, one in each hand. This was the pair's children that Zhao Yaqing had secretly taken away back then, and the other one had been taken care of by her father. She could feel the familiar scent. It had been 6 years, and she had finally returned to this place. Zhao Yaqing always thought of her son who had been taken away. "My child, do you know that Mommy has been thinking about you? Because I can't let you go, Mommy is back." Zhao Yaqing still had an elegant and refined temperament, and her figure was as exquisite as it used to be. There was a trace of calm and temptation in her clear eyes. She had a mature charm. After 6 years of hard work, she had grown up a lot. She was no longer that innocent 18 years old. Yao Yanyan, wearing a pair of big sunglasses, covered most of his beautiful little face. Only her pink and tender lips and perfect chin could be seen. There was always a gentle smile on the corner of his mouth, which made many people keep an eye on him. They seemed to want to see the little handsome face in front of the sunglasses. Yao Ling wore a beautiful hat. A delicate little face was shared with everyone in such a beautiful way. Her big watery eyes curved into a smile from time to time, which made many people drool. "Wow, isn't this a little star?" Suddenly, a little boy screamed. The little boy's eyes were full of surprise. It seems that he didn't expect to meet the little star in his heart here. His scream made all the fans turn around, turn their heads, and rush over. Zhao Muqing had a headache. Her daughter had only been on TV once. When did she become a little star? Moreover, she was the one who accompanied them last time. Why didn't anyone recognize her? Zhao Yanyan smiled evilly and let go of Zhao Yaqing's hand. He took off his sunglasses. Suddenly, an angel-like beauty shocked everyone's eyes. This made them forget to look for Zhao Ling for a while. At this time, Zhao Yaqing took the opportunity to escape from the crowd with Zhao Ling. "Sisters, aunties, younger brothers, uncles, I've been separated from Mommy. Can you help me find a way out? It's best if you can make way for me first." Zhao Yan looked pitiful as he spoke. His intelligent and slightly deep eyes were almost about to burst into tears. The people next to him suddenly became soft-hearted. A few little girls even went forward and handed Zhao Yanyang a handkerchief. Some people couldn't help kissing him on the face. "Mommy, I'm acting cute again to win your sympathy," Zhao Ling exclaimed as she sat in the car. She despised Zhao Yanyang's behavior. "Didn't I just save you guys? Look at how much I've sacrificed myself for a kiss by a little girl." Zhao Yanyang opened the car door as he spoke. Zhao Yuqing drove the car and ran away. Zhao Ling raised her head proudly. "Didn't you say that you like to kiss a little woman? It feels like eating candy." Zhao Ling discontentedly uncovered Zhao Yanyang's scandal. "Oh my God, I don't know how many little girls are crying for his face." He still had the nerve to say that he had been forced to kiss by a little girl. Zhao Yanyang grinned and suddenly got close to Zhao Ling, kissing her on the face. "My little spirit is jealous, so I'll give her a kiss," Zhao Yanyang said as if it was a big deal. Zhao Ling stared at her with her dry eyes. After eating her tofu, she said that she was jealous, as if she had taken advantage of him. "Yanyang, you have to give way to your sister. Your Aunt Mei Yun's family has arrived. You two have to be obedient," Zhao Yaqing said with a smile as she drove. 6 years ago, she left without saying a word. Now that she had suddenly come back, she wondered how much she would be scolded by Mei Yun. Zhao Yaqing's cell phone suddenly rang. She opened it and saw that it was a call from O Mufeng. Zhao Yuqing smiled elegantly. When she left, she forgot to tell him that he must be very anxious. If it weren't for him, she wouldn't have been able to hold on for so many years. Therefore, Zhao Yuqing thanked O Mufeng sincerely in her heart. "Zhao Yaqing, where are you?" O Mufeng was obviously very anxious. Zhao Muqing was stunned. In her impression, she had never thought that O Mufeng would be angry. "I'm back, With a snap, she seemed to hear the scene of her mobile phone being thrown over there. How could he be so angry all of a sudden? Was it because she had left secretly? Looking at the villa in front of her, Zhao Yuqing sighed. "I'll explain it to Ao Mufeng later. I'll go and find my best friend Zhang Meiyin first." First of all, she had to let her child have a place to rest. Zhao Yaqing parked the car at the door. Before she could knock on the door, a strong figure came out of it. The figure was getting closer and closer. When Zhao Yaqing could see his appearance clearly, she almost gasped. What a handsome man! His facial features were so delicate, as if they were carved out of stone. There were several strands of brown hair between his eyebrows. She had thick black eyebrows and a pair of deep and fierce eyes. He had a straight nose and sexy thin lips. In a trance, he looked like a prince from a fairy tale. Shen Jiyu only glanced at Zhao Yaqing, and there was a glimmer of sparkle in his deep eyes. What a beautiful and refined woman. He didn't notice the child beside her at all. He left in a hurry with his assistant, as if he had something important to tell her. However, Shen Jiyu's assistant couldn't help but look back at the child beside Zhao Yaqing. The little boy and the young master looked really alike, especially his shining eyes. When Zhang Meiyun saw Zhao Yaqing, she couldn't help but widen her eyes. Looking at the two children in her hands, her eyes widened. He thought of how his brother, Zhang Lingyun, had always fallen in love with Zhao Yaqing. If he saw these two children, he didn't know how to feel. "Zhao Yaqing, where have you been in the past few years? Do you know? I've almost turned over the whole city of Lianyue. And you still know how to come back?" Mei Yun shouted angrily. Zhao Muqing knew what kind of temper she had. She liked to be in such a hurry. But her heart was also the softest. "I'm sorry." 1,000 words concluded. Zhao Yaqing knew Zhang Meiyun's temper, but she couldn't explain anything. Zhao Ling's big watery eyes rolled around, and finally she grabbed Zhang Meiyun's hand with a smile. "Aunt Meiyu is really pretty. She is just like her name," Zhao Ling praised deliberately. Zhang Weiyun only felt that her hand was soft, and she saw a pair of chubby little hands holding her. Looking at the little girl's face, which was exactly the same as that of Zhao Yaqing's. She felt a sudden throb in her heart. Zhang Meiyun picked up Zhao Ling and couldn't help kissing her. This child was too attractive. The reason why Zhao Yaqing left back then was because of these two children. Zhang Weiyun looked at Zhao Yanyang, who was staring at her with his eyes wide open. Wow, how could there be such a beautiful child in the world?
The child that Jiao Yuqing gave birth to was 是版的海还是壮。岸体云，你要不要 kiss 我真的吗？焦岩扬声表明。他笑就锅前的黑暗了。非到万一我们短暂都避下天远的水清，气见着清缓是更好的。老在地请不让他过自带。焦雨清只能笑笑完，拜拜。
Her child was so radiant that he could shine everywhere he went, leaving her mommy, in the darkness. Come on, let's talk at home. I'll hold a welcoming party for you. It's just that I'm on a business trip. If I know that you're back, I'm sure he'll be so excited that he can't sleep, Zhang Meiyun said excitedly. However, when she saw the two beautiful children, a strange feeling flashed through her heart. After everything was arranged properly, Zhang Weiyun and Zhao Yaqing sat in the living room. The two children went to the bedroom to play with their computers. Zhao Yaqing knew that Zhang Meiyun was worried about her, but she could only keep it in her heart. Once word got out, it was very likely that she would lose these two children. She could not say anything. You haven't seen your father yet, have you? He is in prison because he owes people money. Zhang Meiyun 是非毙命。
在那句角鹿也埋了翻他，问焦雅清的故事，怎么办？郊游的吗？
他不活了，是因为他的生活是严重的。6 years ago, when she gave Zhang Lu the 5 million yuan, she had told him that she would cut off contact with her father and daughter from then on. She would find her mother and ask her to leave. But why did his heart still hurt when he was in prison? You'll go and see him, won't you? Zhang Weiyuan knew Zhao Yaqing very well. She was actually a very filial girl. If it weren't for her father, with her grades back then, she would have done something. Zhao Yaqing couldn't help biting the corner of her mouth, and her face turned pale. I'm going to find a job tomorrow. Let's talk about him later. Zhao Muqing didn't even call him father anymore. She was very disappointed in Zhao Lu. Zhang Weiyun looked at Zhao Yaqing and opened her mouth. She also wanted to ask something about the child. However, it was obvious on Zhao Yaqing's face that she wanted to drive her away. She didn't want Zhang Meiyun to ask again. Zhang Meiyun could only sigh. Forget it, she didn't want to say it. When Zhao Yuqing wanted to tell him, she would naturally tell him. If Zhao Yuqing didn't want to tell him, she wouldn't be able to get anything out of him even if she asked. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly. Mommy, what school is this? Why are the students dressed in such noble clothes? Zhao Ling looked at the magnificent school in front of her and couldn't help asking. Zhao Yuqing touched Zhao Ling's little head and smiled brightly. This is the best noble school in the legend. I spent a lot of money to let you in. Don't let mommy down. Zhao Muqing always smiled when facing her two children. Wow, look! That guy is wearing a limited edition suit. I just saw it on the computer last night. It's worth hundreds of millions of yuan, Zhao Yanyang said with his eyes wide open. Oh my God, he took a look at this dress last night. When Shang Zihao heard the voice, the corners of his mouth curled up in disdain. He disdained those who were jealous of him behind Yugu's back. Look, he seems to be quite arrogant. His head seems to be raised. Zhao Ling pointed at Shang Zihao's back and said in surprise. Looking at the back of the proud and straight figure, Zhao Yuqing suddenly reminded her of the cold figure 6 years ago. There seemed to be a moment of resemblance. She suddenly got rid of this wild thought. You two go to school quickly. Mommy is going to work. Zhao Muqing smiled and kissed the faces of the two children affectionately. Goodbye, Mommy. Zhao Yangyang took Zhao Ling's small hand and walked into the school. Seeing the two children enter the school, a warm feeling flashed through Zhao Yuqing's heart. No matter how hard or tired they were, they had to give the babies a happy growth. Thinking in this way, Zhao Yuqing quickly went to the new company for an interview. The one who was interviewed today was the design director of the Sheng Group. She had been learning the design by herself for the past 6 years. Sometimes she would learn it from her grandmother. Although her mother had divorced her father, her grandmother doted on her very much. Her grandmother was a famous designer and had retired. "Qi Mu King, come in!" The interview officer suddenly shouted in the room. Zhao Yaqing's little hand tightened. She took a deep breath and walked in calmly. The interview official looked Zhao Yuqing up and down and then asked her to sit down. She simply glanced at the information in her hand, asked a few questions, and asked her to go back to wait for the call. In fact, their advertising director had been recruited. But they didn't want to let go of such an outstanding Zhao Yuqing and the forging design in her hand, because she was indeed a talent. Zhao Yuqing stood up gracefully, nodded to them with a smile, and turned to leave. "Wait!" Just as she walked to the gate, the female reporter suddenly shouted, "Huh?" Zhao Yuqing was surprised, but soon she turned around with a smile on her face. "We are still short of a female secretary. Are you interested?" The interview officer looked at Zhao Yuqing and asked, "With her face, figure, and temperament, she should be more than enough to be a secretary." Zhao Yuqing frowned slightly. It turned out that their design director had been done by someone. She was late. "Sorry, I'm not a secretary." "Don't refuse in such a hurry. Our secretary's salary is also very high. If you do it well, you can also become the design director," the interview officer explained. When the time came, it would be up to the higher-ups to decide whether they should turn around or not. What he needed to do was to keep talents so that his salary would be higher. Zhao Muqing was attracted by the last sentence of the interview, and her heart was slightly moved. It was her biggest dream to be the design director of the Sheng Group. If there was a chance, she might as well fight for it. "Well, when can I start working?" Zhao Yaqing asked casually. Zhao Muqing also looked at the time on the wall. It was already 8:40 p.m., and she couldn't make it today. The interview officer also looked at the time and smiled gently. "Go to the personnel department to report. You can go straight to work today." After the interview, he called the next person. Zhao Yuqing couldn't help but feel a little surprised. She has to go to work on the day of the interview? What's going on? It was already 9:30 p.m. when she finished all the procedures and went to the president's office. "Bring me a cup of coffee." All of a sudden, a man's deep, mellow, and magnetic voice came from the office, pleasant and cold. Zhao Yuqing immediately went to make coffee, but she was confused. Why was she the only secretary? Where was her secretary? After making coffee, Zhao Yuqing gently knocked on the door. "Come in." His voice was cold and indifferent. When Zhao Yuqing came in, she was surprised to find that this handsome and impeccable man turned out to be the best man she had met in front of Zhang Meiyan's house yesterday. Moreover, he was drinking coffee in his hand, and next to him stood an extremely enchanting secretary. Zhao Yuqing looked at the coffee in her hand and suddenly felt a sense of embarrassment that she had never felt before. Her little face could not help but turn red. No one told her that there was a secretary in the office. At this time, Shen Qiyu also looked at Zhao Yuqing. It was her, the woman she met at the door of Zhang Lingyan's house yesterday. Sheng Qiyu couldn't help looking at the coffee in her hand and raised his eyebrows evilly. She was the secretary who had just arrived in the human resources. Being stared at by Sheng Qiyu, Zhao Yuqing felt unnatural all over, especially his deep and cold eyes. "Che Yuqing, bring me the coffee," Sheng Qiyu said indifferently and put down the cup of coffee in his hand. Zhao Yuqing felt the blazing light of the secretary next to Sheng Qiyu. She knew that it was anger. Sheng Qiyu took the coffee from Zhao Yuqing's hand. When he took the coffee, he gently touched her finger with his slender fingers. Sheng Qiyu clearly felt that she was stiff at that moment. His deep eyes darkened again. He stared at Zhao Yuqing and gently tasted the coffee she made. As soon as the coffee entered her mouth, she tasted a little bitter at first. There was nothing added in the coffee, followed by a sweet taste. It had to be said that she was good at making tea. It had to be said that she was good at making tea. In the future, you will make coffee for me. You still need this kind of smell, Shang Jiyu said lightly. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked down at his documents as if there was no one around him. Zhao Yuqing stood there in a daze. What was she going to do? They didn't know whether to advance or retreat. Zhao Yuqing stood there in a daze for 2 hours. Until she got off work at noon, her legs were numb. It seemed that it was really not easy to be a secretary. However, for the sake of the monthly salary of 30,000, she endured it. Mengxin, you can go now. Zhao Yuqing, go and make me a cup of coffee. When Zhao Yuqing was imagining getting off work, Sheng Jiyu suddenly opened his mouth coldly. Sheng Jiyu didn't even raise his head. Zhao Yuqing was stunned. It was time to get off work. Why didn't he let her go? Although she was unhappy, she still made coffee for Sheng Jiyu. When he came in, Sheng Jiyu had already packed up the documents and was ready to go out. He glanced at Zhao Yuqing's hot figure, and the corners of his mouth curved into an imperceptible smile. I don't want to drink coffee anymore. Come with me to a banquet. Sheng Jiyu walked out while talking, completely ignoring the stunned expression on Zhao Yuqing's face. At this moment, Zhao Yuqing was so angry that she wanted to shake off the wine glass in her hand. What's wrong with this man? I'm not his girlfriend. Why would I attend his banquet? Why did she feel that the president was mysterious? Should she think about whether she should stay here and work again? If you take part in the banquet, you'll have to pay 1,000 per hour. Sure enough, as soon as Shang Jiyu finished his words, Zhao Yuqing ran after him. 1,000 per hour. In this way, she would have 3,000 in 3 hours? A smile immediately appeared on Zhao Yuqing's face, and she quickly followed him. Mr. Sheng, can we cut off the time limit now? It was better to get the money as soon as possible. What if he forgot to admit it? The corner of Sheng Jiyu's mouth curved into a cold arc, and he suddenly turned around. However, it never occurred to her that he would suddenly turn around. It was too late for her to stop, so her head suddenly hit his strong chest. If you want to throw yourself into my arms, it won't be too late later. You can play a good show with me, and there will be additional rewards. His voice was low and tempting. There was a flash of light in Shang Jiyu's deep eyes. Since she liked money so much, he would give it to her. However, she had to make some sacrifices to get the money. Zhao Yuqing's eyes widened as she stared at the handsome face in front of her. She could smell the faint scent of lemon on his body, which was very pleasant. In a trance, she was addicted to it and could not help but nod. In Zhao Yuqing's mind, she couldn't help but think of the night 6 years ago. Shang Ziyu looked at Zhao Yuqing and nodded, and the smile on his face deepened. Sure enough, she was a typical playboy and a woman who loved money. When Shang Ziyu grabbed her little hand, Zhao Yuqing suddenly woke up. She wanted to shake off Shang Jiyu's big palm, but she was not as strong as him. Mr. Shang, what's my extra reward? Since he had taken advantage of her, how could she get anything? Otherwise, how could she live up to her small jade-like hands? Shang Jiyu frowned slightly. Among the 10 sentences of this woman, 9 of them mentioned money. Other women would only seduce him when they were with him. But when she was with him, she only saw money. He was a tall, rich, and handsome man. Wherever he went, he would be the focus of attention. But in her eyes, he couldn't compare with those money. It depends on your performance, Shen Jiyu said, meaningfully, and got into the car in front of him. Sheng Jiyu asked the driver to get off, and he drove in person. Zhao King was recalling Sheng Jiyu's words for a long time. Judging by her performance, what was she going to do? Does he want me to seduce others and then sign a contract with him? When she was dressed in a dress of more than 10,000 yuan, she was even more certain about this matter. If it weren't for the fact that she had to pay the bill, she wouldn't have been willing to go. However, this set of clothes didn't seem to be too bad either. Then this dress will belong to me after the banquet is over. Zhao Yuqing came out of the fitting room and did not ask the ladylike question at all. She accepted the money as soon as she saw it. Sheng Jiyu withdrew his gaze from outside the window. He looked at Zhao Yuqing with amazement in his eyes for a moment. It was a red tube-top dress, revealing the white swan-like neck, attractive collarbones, and a large piece of white jade-like skin. There were small flowers made of pearls in front of her chest, shining with dazzling luster, which made people's imagination go wild. Coupled with this face, she was as beautiful as Snow White, who came out of a fairy tale. Even the waiter next to her was stunned. This was the first time she had seen a woman who could dress like this. Forget it if you don't want to. Seeing that Sheng Jiyu didn't say anything, Zhao Yuqing thought that he didn't want to give her the clothes. Thinking about it, it made sense. His clothes were worth tens of millions of yuan. She was not his woman. How could he give her clothes so easily? Sheng Jiyu's eyes darkened. This woman would really ruin the atmosphere. It depends on your performance. This was another sentence, after which he rushed out of the door. Zhao Muqing followed him with dissatisfaction. He always said that. If she did not behave well at that time, would there not only be no reward, but also no check-in? This was not worth it. In the Sheng Group's villa, Zhao Yuqing had been following behind Sheng Ji, cursing him in her heart. This man had brought her to his house. What was he trying to do? Wasn't she his family? At this moment, Zhao Yuqing suddenly found a proud little figure in front of her. Zhao Yuqing couldn't help but think of the scene at school. Her daughter pointed at the figure, and he was wearing the limited edition suit his son liked. This made her curious. She wanted to see the boy's real face. When Sheng Jiyu saw the little figure, he frowned slightly and called his son over. There were 3 people sitting in the restaurant. Sheng Jiyu's father, Sheng Tian, his stepmother, Wu Zhuan, and the daughter of the Wu group, Wu Ting, whom his stepmother introduced to him. Seeing Sheng Jiyu come in, Wu Ting was about to pounce on him. However, she suddenly found another woman following behind Sheng Jiyu. Her face was obviously cold. Looking at the formation in front of her, Zhao Yuqing's heart tightened. It turned out that his family had arranged a blind date for him, and he had used her as a shield. Zhao Yuqing looked into Wu Ting's eyes. Why did she always feel like a third party who had robbed her of her happiness? You, who is she? Wu Ting's sharp voice was full of dissatisfaction. After a while, Wu Ting's father would come. They were going to arrange a date to get engaged today. Sheng Shiyu glanced at Wu Ting and reached out to hold Zhao Yuqing's little hand. At this moment, his eyes were suddenly full of affection. Zhao Muting looked at Sheng Shiyu in front of her in a daze. Can I not pretend to be so good? I will be trapped in his scan. I won't arrange a marriage. She is the woman I love. When it came to love, Sheng Shiyu deliberately added more. He seemed to be reminding Wu Ting or Zhao Yuqing. The 2 women were shocked at the same time. Wu Jun's face changed slightly, and a trace of coldness flashed in her eyes. This marriage must be completed, which was not only beneficial to the O family, but also beneficial to the Sheng group. How could she let a little woman ruin such a good thing? Come here, sit down. Sheng Tian coldly opened his mouth. His imposing manner was not angry, but rather imposing. He would never allow Sheng Jiyu to be with a woman at will. A woman could play with him, but he couldn't take it seriously. Sheng Jiyu took Zhao Yuqing's hand and sat down. Zhao Yuqing had been standing there for the whole morning, and her legs were tired. She sat down and didn't even greet Sheng Tian and Wu Juan. Where did this wild girl come from? She doesn't know any rules and doesn't even know how to ask her elders. Wu Juan's tone was full of disdain. This little woman has just arrived, but she is so arrogant. Will the Sheng family still let her go in the future? Zhao Yuqing's attitude toward Wu Juan instantly dropped. She was not her elder, so why should she say hello to her? Judging from her attitude, she did not know how to follow the rules. Auntie, is this how you receive guests? You even called out a wild girl. Is this your so-called rule? Zhao Yaking asked with a smile instead of anger. Zhao Yaking could tell that Sheng Jiyu didn't seem to like this old woman. If she did this, was it for Sheng Jiyu's sake? Would he give her a bonus? Sheng Jiyu raised his eyebrows. Zhao Yaking's reaction was beyond his expectation. However, he was very satisfied with her performance. Wu Zhuan was so angry that she widened her eyes. She didn't expect that this bitch looked quiet, but she had such a sharp tongue. She looked down upon this girl. A bitch is a bitch. She doesn't even care about her elder's words. Ting stepped forward and looked at Zhao Yaking coldly. Her eyes were full of hostility. If she dared to steal her man, she would definitely make this woman pay the price. Oh? Zhao Yaking raised the corner of her mouth gracefully. A bright smile appeared on Zhao Yaking's face, revealing a pair of charming dimples. This added a kind of blurred beauty to her whole body, which made heaven and earth lose color in an instant. What are you laughing at? Ting was very dissatisfied with Zhao Yaking's smile. She was scolding her, but she was laughing. At this moment, a stunning little boy came in calmly. The little boy looked at Zhao Yaking and then at Ting. Finally, he fixed his eyes on Zhao Yaking's smiling face. He thought that his mommy's smile would also be so beautiful. Sister Ting's character is too low. She's even cursing. It's obvious that she doesn't want to talk to a low-class person. Sheng Zihao said calmly, but what he said made Aoqing want to hit him. It was okay to say that she was low class, but she called her sister Aoqing, but this woman was beautiful. She was not prettier than him at all, but she was indeed prettier than him. There was a flash of surprise in Zhao Yaking's eyes. She didn't expect that a child could guess what she meant. She was so smart. Zhao Yaking couldn't help looking down at the little boy who was talking. She instantly sucked in a breath of cold air. What an exquisite child, but why did he resemble her Chao Yan Yang so much? Zihao, the adults are talking. Don't interrupt, kid. Sheng Tian was obviously a little angry. Ting was the daughter of the Ao family. How could she be insulted by this stinky kid? Sheng Zihao looked at Zhao Yaking quietly. At first glance, he had fallen in love with this woman. Her eyes were very gentle, as if they were filled with maternal love. Sheng Jiyu didn't expect his son to speak. In his impression, his son rarely spoke. Even with him, his son was a man of few words. However, her son had said so much for this woman. Sheng Jiyu frowned slightly, but in an instant, he became indifferent again. Pretty sister, it seems that you are not welcome here, Sheng Zihao suddenly said. He glanced at Zhuan and Ting, and the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. He looked exactly the same as Sheng Jiyu. Ting immediately laughed. This guy finally said something more pleasant. Yes, you're not welcome here. It's not welcome at all. Ting immediately became proud. Now that even this child was on her side, how long could she remain arrogant? Sheng Tian looked at the scene in front of him coldly. He knew Sheng Zihao very well. Like Sheng Jiyu, Sheng Zihao never left any leeway for others. He inherited everything from Sheng Jiyu, including his cold heart. Zhao Yuqing touched Sheng Zihao's head. It seemed that she had really failed. Even a child could tell that this place did not welcome her. Even if everyone doesn't welcome me, it's enough to have one. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhao Yuqing looked at Sheng Zihao and looked at him with a calm smile. Sheng Zihao took Zhao Yuqing's little hand and stood up from his seat. He gave her a gentle smile, and his eyes were full of tenderness. At this moment, she seemed to be the only one in his eyes. Zhao Yaking looked at Sheng Jiyu. How could his eyes be so gentle? Could he pretend to be more like her? If she pretended a little more, she would mistake it for real. If you are not welcome here, it means that you don't welcome me. Let's go together. Sheng Jiyu's tone was unusually gentle. He took Zhao Yaking's little hand and walked out with a diameter as if there was no one around him. Ting suddenly ran over and circled her arms around Sheng Jiyu's waist from behind. "You, don't go." She liked Sheng Jiyu. From the moment she saw him when she was a child, she had fallen in love with him. She had been willing to give birth to a baby for him, but he had found someone else. Sheng Jiyu narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhao Yaking. Should she pretend to be jealous at this time? After all, he was her man now. Zhao Yaking was stunned. She still wants me to pretend? She didn't want to pretend, but all of a sudden she saw Sheng Jiyu's slender fingers reaching out 2 fingers. What does he mean? Give me 2,000 yuan as a reward? Thinking of this, Zhao Yuking gritted her teeth. Just pretend. Anyway, I'm fighting for money. Miss, don't you know it's immoral to hold someone else's boyfriend? His body can only be touched by me, Zhao Yuking said meaningfully. Ting was furious. What did it mean that she could only touch his body? Was Sheng Jiyu her exclusive man? If she can give it to you, I can also give it to you. Speaking of this, Ting glared at Zhao Yaking. Wasn't it just a body? She thought that her martial arts in bed would not be worse than that of Zhao Muqing. Zhao Yuqing resisted the urge to laugh. Did this woman want to have sex with him because she was not satisfied? How could it be so obvious? I can die for him. Can you do that? Zhao Yuqing suddenly said. Her words were like a bomb, shocking everyone's heart. Even Sheng Jiyu, who was still in Ting's arms, had a strange look in his eyes. This woman's reaction was always beyond his expectation. It was really interesting. Ting was also shocked. Death was a terrible word for rich people. She didn't even know where she would put her money after her death. Sheng Jiyu took the opportunity to push away Ting's hand and took Zhao Yuking's hand to leave quickly, ignoring the angry roar behind him. After leaving the villa, Sheng Jiyu's expression instantly became cold. She was totally different from how gentle she was just now. Looking at Sheng Jiyu, she was obviously stunned. Is there anyone in the world who can fall out so quickly? Mr. Sheng, my bonus. Go to the company and get it from the company, he said coldly. There was a hint of impatience in Sheng Jiyu's tone. Could this woman stop talking about money? Zhao Yaking didn't care about Sheng Jiyu's impatience. She cared about how much money he would give her. According to what he said, her performance today would be considered to have passed the test. Zhao Yaking still remembered clearly that he had stretched out 2 fingers to her at that time. 3,000 plus 2,000 meant 5,000. In addition to her clothes, if she sold them, they would cost at least tens of thousands of yuan. She really made a lot of money today. After she saved some money, she would go to the prison to see her father. Although she had said that she would cut off her relationship with her father, he was still her father who had raised her for 18 years. No matter how much money she needed, she would save her father. Mr. Sheng, may I ask how much today's punishment is? Zhao Yuking asked. She calculated how much she could earn today. When such a thing happened, she would definitely go back. She would not go against money. Sheng Jiyu suddenly stepped on the brakes. This woman is still asking for money? Hadn't she noticed his displeasure? How much do you want? Sheng Jiyu suddenly approached her. The cold aura around him swirled around her. His facial features, which seemed to be carved out of stone, were all cold. Zhao Yaqing shrank her neck subconsciously and stared at the man in front of her with wide eyes. Was he asking her how much she wanted? Then how much did she want? Could he give her as much as she wanted? 50,000. Zhao Yaqing suddenly stretched out her little hand and waved it in front of Sheng Jiyu. A trace of expectation flashed across her beautiful and refined face. Sheng Jiyu raised the corner of his mouth evilly and gave a proud smile. He approached Zhao Yaqing again. He didn't stop until his handsome nose was almost touching hers. Zhao Yaqing instinctively retreated until there was no room for retreat. The temperature in the car rose instantly. At this time, their posture was extremely ambiguous. I'll give you 500,000 yuan, Sheng Jiyu suddenly said. His voice was still pleasant and cold, but it was full of sarcasm. Zhao Yaqing looked at Shang Zhiyu's expression. She was not a fool. Her intuition told her that Shang Zhiyu was angry. Although she wanted 500,000 yuan very much, she didn't dare to be happy now. "Have a good night's sleep with me." Shang Zhiyu's voice sounded again. In Jiao Yaqing's mind, she instantly thought of the night 6 years ago when she was with a stranger. At that moment, her expression became indifferent. He actually regarded her as that kind of woman. 6 years ago, it was a shame. She would never allow that kind of shame to appear on her again. Looking at the motionless Zhao Yaqing, Shang Zhiyu was almost certain of her thoughts. No matter how arrogant these women looked, their ultimate goal was to seduce him. He was used to these things. Shang Zhiyu's sexy, thin lips moved closer to Zhao Yuqing. There was a disdainful sneer at the corner of his mouth. Feeling her lips go soft, Shang Zhiyu was shocked. Her lips were so soft and sweet. Zhao Yaqing's heart suddenly trembled, and a sense of humiliation came over her. Does this man want to humiliate me with money? Then he must have found the wrong person. Pa! A clear and loud sound echoed in a silent car. Shang Zhiyu suddenly pulled back and distanced himself from Zhao Yuqing. His eyes were full of gloom, but in the coldness, his noble temperament was no less. Zhao Yuqing's heart was beating wildly. He won't do anything to me, will he? Get out of the car. His voice was as cold as ever, without a trace of warmth. Of what? Zhao Yaqing didn't react for a moment, staring at Shang Zhiyu with wide eyes. That the next second, she had been thrown in the middle of the road by Shang Zhiyu. Only then did Zhao Yaqing realize what had happened to her. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain in her ass. Zhao Yaqing gritted her teeth. Forget it. I won't argue with Shang Zhiyu. As long as he paid her, she could put up with it for money. As soon as she was about to stand up, Zhao Yaqing found that her skirt had been torn open and almost reached her thigh. Zhao Yaqing was shocked and suddenly pulled the long mouth with her little hand. Looking at this expensive dress, she squatted on the ground and felt distressed. Her tens of thousands of yuan had been ruined. Suddenly, a black suit jacket flew over to her and covered her leg. Then the eye-catching Lamborghini disappeared in front of her. She couldn't help but despise him in her heart. He was really a devil. He didn't even know how to take pity on women. He threw her, a weak little woman, on the road and left. Wasn't it just a slap on his face? A lecherous man like him must have been slapped a lot. Zhao Yuqing stood up angrily as she thought about it. She threw Shang Zhiyu's coat to her and walked away gracefully. However, she rubbed her butt from time to time, and her butt was really broken. Enduring the pain in her butt, she went to the company to get her salary. It turned out to be 50,000. Wow, Zhao Yaqing was so excited that she burst into tears. In fact, she was crying because of the pain in her butt. She didn't fall on her butt for no reason, and the money was worth it. Zhao Yaqing held the money tightly in her hand. She didn't see Shang Zhiyu in the whole afternoon, so she held the money and spent the whole afternoon happily. In the evening, Jiao Yaqing decided to take her 2 children to have a meal with Zhang Meiyun. Although the expensive dress was void, she got 50,000 yuan, which made her equally excited.